Hello and welcome to the Non-Perfect Parents Club podcast. I'm Emma, a mama of two girls, an ex-nursery practitioner and the creator of the Non-Perfect Parents Club. The Non-Perfect Parents Club is all about support, honesty, truths, acknowledging that none of us can be perfect parents because it's impossible, and basically just speaking the unspoken. The only rule here is no judgment allowed. I love hearing people's stories. I love finding out about other parents, their family dynamics, their values, and how they tick. So that is what this podcast is going to be. Some great honest conversations about parenting, hopefully delving into some nitty-gritty thoughts and feelings that will make us all laugh, cry, and sigh a big sigh of relief. Hello and welcome back to the Non-Perfect Parents Club podcast. Today I'm joined by Leah from Designed Memories. Hi Leah, thank you for joining me on the podcast.
Hiya, morning.
So firstly, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do?
Okay, so my name is Liat and I live in Liverpool, UK. I'm a mum of three girls. Mm-hmm. I've been a graphic designer for quite some time, and then after the kids came along, going back to work is not really an option. So I started my own business, but it's not like the traditional graphic design with logos and things like that, flyers. It's more about dealing with your photos. Photography is something that I really liked to do since forever. So I kind of combine my photography passion with my graphic design skills. And I do photo books, and today with the digital cameras, we take so many photos, but we don't really do anything with them. And that's really sad, because I remember myself as a little girl, I loved looking at photo albums. Well, I still do today, obviously. But we don't have that anymore today.
I love photos. I always have done. I love, my mum keeps all our photos. She's got so many. She's got them all in boxes in her attic. And we love going up and pulling them out and rooting through and having a look. But like you say, it's very different today, isn't it? Not only how we take photos, but how we store them as well.
Yeah, because they're all just in the phone. It's on one hand really easy to take pictures today. You don't think twice. You just take as much as you can. Back then you would think 10 times before you decide, is it worth the picture or not?
Yeah.
But today you just put the kids and you take, 20 and hope that one of them will be good and they'll all be looking at you and no funny faces or eyes closed or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they're just on the phone. How many times do you actually go back and look at your pictures? I mean, hardly any. It's just a shame. I think it really is a shame, because photos are so much more than just it's obviously to keep the memories, but it's looking at memories. It's so nice, and it's really good for your mental health as well. I mean, you can do so much with the photos, and when you look at photos and you go back to that moment and laugh again or cry again, or remember you can remember anything by looking at pictures. Remember how you felt, or what were you what's the situation before and after, and it brings so much emotions. And so it's just an experience we don't have today. And even just for the kids to look at the photos as well, they'll just look on the phone again. It's obviously, well, maybe I'm a bit biased, but looking at photos on your phone is not the same as looking at tangible photos, photo albums. It's not the same feeling, and especially when on the phone there's so much random photos, and it's all kind of messy. It's not just like we said, 20 of the same pictures, but then think about how many screenshots do you take? We don't take notes anymore today. We're too lazy for that. So we just take a picture if we want to remember something. Or we just walk on the street and we see something nice on the shop window. We just take a picture. We see something on a website. We want to remember that. We take a picture. But then even to look back to those screenshots, we don't even do that. I have so many screenshots that I say to myself, one day I'll have a look, but I just forget about them. So it just shows how much we don't really look at the pictures. And so I've been thinking, why do we take so many pictures if we don't look at them at all? I really miss the, good old days when we every picture was so valuable, you know, when we precious each and every one, because we didn't have so much. And today, because we have so much, we just don't appreciate it. It's not the same.
That's it. Anyway, I mean, obviously you it was all on cameras then, wasn't it? And you only had so much film, so you had to be really like cautious about what you were using that film on. My youngest daughter, actually, we've got a box of photos in our attic, and there are lots of like my older ones, and then I think I've got the first 3 months of my eldest life printed out. That's as far as I got. And my youngest was very upset as to why she didn't have any baby photos. I was like, oh. And it, like you say, it is that thing of having a tangible photo that you can have to look at and remember.
You know, I hear that so many times of mums saying, I think as soon as you get pregnant, you think, you know, you make a decision, I'm going to do a photo book for each year of my child to document their growth and all the milestones and everything. But once the baby arrives, you realize doing that is quite of a job, time consuming, which obviously we don't have. And then, you know, maybe the first baby, then you're more have a bit more time or more motivated, or I don't know. But then the second one comes along. You're much more tired, a lot less time, so it just doesn't happen. You know, it's you know, let's be realistic. It's also because we take so much. You know, think of how many baby photos do you have of the baby just lying in the, you know, lying on the crib or whatever, you know, with the funny faces, or so you have so many, and it's so hard to choose as well. So it happens so many times when the first one has a couple of years of photos, but then the second one doesn't have it all, and it's all on the phone. And it's not fair in a way. Absolutely.
So why do you think it's important then to kind of, I mean, do you encourage people to print them out, or is it kind of how you organize them, or what do you think is the most important part?
Well, first of all is to keep on top of the photos. I think because we have so many again, and it's so easy to take pictures, and we take so much of random things. For example, one good one is the WhatsApp messages. You know, when someone, if you're in groups or just chats, when people send photos and then they're all in your camera roll, and pictures don't really need. If you have a neighbor's group chat, so you have fences of your neighbors. Do you really need that? So I think first thing is to keep on top of the photos. What I mean is creating like a habit or something, when once a week or once a month, whatever suits you, just go over the photos and sort them out, mainly delete whatever you don't need. But then saying that, obviously photos on the phone are not safe. If something goes wrong with your phone, then the photos are lost. You know, I know a client of mine lost a phone. I think fell into the toilet. I mean, who didn't drop their phone into the toilet? So she lost 5 years of her son's baby years. It's absolutely devastating. So first thing I would say, just set up a backup. Either you can put an app on the phone that photos automatically are backed up, or regularly, if you prefer, to download them into a device or something. So that definitely would be my first ever tip. And then just go over them every so often, whenever you find 10 minutes a day, a month. Actually, if you do it once a month, for example, it's only 10 minutes. I mean, how many photos do we take a month? So like 10 minutes a month, and you can just sort them out. It's other than just keeping on top of them, if it's on an app, it's for the environment as well, because cloud apps are basically a huge computer around the world that stores all your photos, and more photos, more storage needed, more computers, more electricity. It's the carbon emission is just enormous in those things. So that's another reason why you want to keep on top of your photos. So creating this habit, and I always say, for example, Sunday morning with your coffee. Well, if you have without the kids, if there's any chance. One of my clients said that Friday night with a glass of wine with her husband, it's like a date night, something like that. Or when we go to the hairdresser and we wait with the dye on our heads, then it's a good opportunity to go over photos, or like some things that you do once a month, or like pay the bills, for example, or like every other thing, every other habit that we do because we have to. That's something we should put in our calendars as well. But if you go back to the mums thing, so I started my business because of the photo books, to bring back those photo albums that we used to have. But then I realized, because of the digital camera and the phone, so we take so many pictures, there's so many. And then if you want to create a project, not necessarily a photo book, but any project, a slideshow, a collage, or just even print out a few, it just becomes such a big job. It's not just a few, there's so many to choose from, and it is really hard. So I created this thing in my business, like a subscription to a photo book, I call that. So it's a year plan basically, and the photos, we share a cloud storage that all the photos go to. So it's not only that you get a photo book at the end of the year, but throughout the year I sort it out for you, and I organize them for you, and I separate all the bad ones and the good ones, and I choose the best ones, and do the photo book. So that way you get clean and organized photo storage and a photo book, annual photo book at the end of the year. So that's just to answer the moms who really want those photo books, but it's just too overwhelming.
Yeah, well, that's it, isn't it? It is very overwhelming. And like you say, like I really struggle with, I'll take so many pictures in the moment trying to get a good one, and then I'll like struggle to decide which one to pick. And I'll end up just keeping them all because I can't decide. But then, like, when you go back to them, say 6 months, a year, like, why have I got all these? They're exactly the same photo. So it is overwhelming.
I also think photo books are really nice gifts. I always give photo books as a present, especially if it's a big anniversary or a birthday, like the 50th, 60th birthday, yes, or a 21st, I don't know, all kinds of gifts. As a gift is really nice. But other than that, photos are really good for your mental health, and you can use photo in so many ways. And I mean, not just it is the memory keeping, but it's you can use photos. For example, I'll give you some example from stories I've heard. This lady, she told me she used the wedding photos to like reconnect with her husband, and actually saved her marriage. Because when you look at those photos, you can remember how you felt, and you go back to those moments, and you remember what you felt, how you smelled, all the senses are, you can evoke all the senses when you look at photos. How they say, a photo worth 100 words. Well, I was just reading, and I was just reading about it a little bit, and apparently the brain, I don't know, encoded photos differently than words, and you're more likely to remember the photos, and they evoke more emotions, more than words. So they really are a powerful tool. And I'll give you another example. This guy told me how, looking at photos, he managed to go out of depression, because looking at photos can be such a good gratitude exercise, because again, you look at places you've been, people you love, things you have, so it's because we tend to forget, even if you went on a holiday, for example, 2 years ago we went on these brilliant holidays, but you don't really remember the details. Only if you look at the pictures, you actually can, as if you go back to that holiday at that point, and you remember the funny thing in the pool, or all those little things, and you're like going on a holiday all over again. Another way to use the photo is another way to using photos is to empower yourself or the kids. So there's a coach who told me she uses photos, for example, if you can think of a period in your life when you felt really happy or really, I don't know, it's a good time in your life. So you put that picture on like a vision board or on the bedside desk or something like that, and then look at this picture, and again all those feelings from back then coming back to you, and you can like reconnect with those times and try to bring them again. Or for children, for example, sorry, I can go on and on about it. For children, for example, if they're let's say scared of doing something, so you can put a picture of them, I don't know, doing something brave, like, I don't know, climbing a tree or something they was scared of but then managed to do. So you put a picture and say, you see, you climbed that tree, you can definitely do those, I don't know, test in school or do this, whatever. Just again, a gratitude tool, just appreciation, because we just don't appreciate the little things. We don't appreciate the positive things. We also remember the bad things. But using the photos, you can, there is something that is called phototherapy, which is not the skin thingy that counselors and health profession use in therapy to, like I said, to evoke those emotions, or sometimes things that you either can't remember or maybe can't really put into words. So by looking at the photos, it's just helps more than just talking. So photos are a really, really good tool. Not just and it's just sad that they're all on the phone and not to any use.
And I think something that to mention is it's really important as well for us as mums to get in the photos. I think there's this thing, and we're always, or majority of the time, tend to be the ones taking them, or Absolutely. We can be so self-conscious. And I think going off kind of everything you're saying there, like there's so much more than a photo. That kind of just reinforces to me why it is so important to be in the photos.
Yeah, absolutely. It's it's something that I at some point, got myself and said, hey, I'm not in the photos. It's unfortunately some things you always, think of after you had some kind of sad experience, and then you realize, I should have done that, or too bad, or anyway. So yes, being in the photos, you just think of, photos are, you have photos from your grandparents, from even great grandparents, and they run in the family for so long. And your children obviously would want to see the moms in the picture, not just themselves, in a whatever. They want to see their parents, they want to see their family, their loved ones, and it really is really important. And even for yourself, just so I don't have any makeup today, so my hair is a mess or whatever. But you want to see yourself having fun with the children as well, not just
and that's it. Like you say, it's not just a photo, it's the whole memory, isn't it? It's the how you felt, the smells, what the day was, and that I guess that's, like you say, it doesn't matter how you look, it's being in that moment and in the photo.
Absolutely. And for the children, for the next generation, they want to know who you are, where they came from. That's the same as we are. We always look for our family.
And it's funny, me and my elder have been doing our family tree recently online, and on there one of our other family members has added some photos they had of, it'll be like 3 or 4 generations back. So when we saw that, it was amazing to see. It was like, wow, look, you can actually see them, which otherwise we wouldn't have been able to even know what they look like.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. It's the funny things, even was just like the haircut or the fashion or the all the styles back then as well. You can learn so much.
That's it. So what would your top tips be for any of the listeners listening to this, in terms of their camera roll on more than likely their phones? Like I'm just thinking about mine straight away, and I know I've got like 16,000 photos, which is just so overwhelming to even think of going through. So I know you mentioned about, obviously, first of all, like back them up. What would your top tips from even where to start and then to kind of get organized?
Yeah, so definitely the first top tip would be just to make sure they're backed up so you won't lose them. That's definitely. And you can use an app on a cloud to put on the phone as well. So everything happens automatically. You don't really have to worry about it. I think that's just the easiest way probably with the phones. So the first tip would be backup. And next would be, so sort out the backup so it will be not just, again, long lists of photos, but have some folders or, well, depends which backup you use, but you can create folders. And when you create the folders, I suppose the most straightforward way would be by dates, like September's photo, November photos, whatever. But sometimes you can have photos for other, if there was a special occasion or if there was a special holiday, or even just, photos that, I don't know, you want to keep for a project, or just photos that makes you happy, empowering photos, photos of, I don't know, certain people's, like having photos of just to have the photos accessible. So when you do look for a photo and you do want to do something with the photos, it'll be easier to find. I think that's the main thing.
Yeah.
To have to organize them in a way that will be easy to find. And then once you have some kind of a filing system, it's creating this habit to go over the photos and sort them out, and as often as you can, in once a month, it's more than enough. 10 minutes a month, even though it is hard, I admit it is hard to find it, but it's possible. It's like we do other things, like brushing your teeth every day or twice a day, or it's like we do other things, coffee morning, or I don't know. Anyway, and every person with their habits, it's just like that. So having 10 minutes a month to do that, definitely, worthwhile.
That's great. Is there anything else that you'd like to add, that you'd like to kind of tell the listeners?
I suppose that, I don't know, if they do, I don't know, have a look at my website to see some more tips about that, or even, some more tips and ideas. And I do hope I was able to inspire some of the listeners to go ahead and do something with the photos. I think that's my main focus, is to inspire people to do something, because again, like I said, it's only the phone. We don't do anything with them. We don't take advantage of them, and why do we bother? Just have a look at my website. If you need any of my help, any advice, any tips, any, I don't know, guidance, then happy to help anyone who makes contact.
That's great. And I'll link your details in the description as well, so that people can find you easily. But yeah, I think you've made some really important points I definitely wouldn't have thought of. It's like you say, you take photo and you don't really think much more about it other than creating that snapshot of the moment. I mean, so many of us take photos now even just to post on social media, don't we? Yep. So there's lots of things there that it's made me think about, so I'm sure it will for the listeners as well. So thank you very much.
Yeah, pleasure. If I just mentioned the social media thing, a lot of people use social media. They use social media for like organizing the photos or as a backup for the photos, but it's not very recommended. The photos are not saved there as in their high quality, and social media is not really kind of our place. It's Facebook's or Instagram, and it's better to be in like a cloud than a social media platform. So it's not the best place to keep them.
And I think sometimes as well, we can kind of have photos in so many places as well. Like that's just making me think like I've some on Facebook, some on Instagram, some on cloud, some, you know, some that I've printed off. And I think that's another thing that I probably find quite overwhelming, is because I've just got them all over the shop. So that's another reason, I guess, like you say, why it's important to organize them.
And old phones
and
or
have
old
that back up in that
devices.
one place. Yes. Yeah.
Old phones, yeah. When they're just in the drawer, and then at some point you won't have the, you know, the cable anymore to connect it, and then they'll be lost.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's all the digital thing. It's on one hand makes everything easier, but on the other hand, it's just create more and more problems.
Yeah, I think that transition from tangible photos to the digital, it's kind of, it's not quite as straightforward as you think, I guess, is it? It's still a bit like higgledy-piggledy. Yeah. Oh, that's great. Thank you for joining us and for all your tips. I'm sure they're really helpful to the listeners.
Thank you very
And
much
I'll,
for having
like
me.
I said, I'll details in the description box so everyone can find you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.